everyone, welcome back to a new video. In today's video, we're going to be speaking about how to break into consulting. Now, I was having a conversation with someone early last month, and she had tried to get into consulting. She had taken tests, she had upskilled herself, she had taken several courses online, and she just couldn't get a hang of it. Now, 1 hour later into the conversation, she clearly had a path forward and had practical steps on how to get into consulting, because that was the career she desired. If you definitely want to learn about some things I shared with her, and you want to know the path, the route to get into consulting, definitely keep on watching. Now, it's important to know that there is no single route to getting into consulting as applicable to any other career. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you 3 different routes I have seen and I think is common in the industry for people to get into consulting. One is early career, and that was the route I took. It's basically upon graduation from your bachelor's, you sign up for the internship program, so the graduate analyst program. The applications come out, I think, twice a year, December and June. So you could apply for that. Ideally, it's you submitting your CV, your cover letter, and then writing the test and going for interviews. Now, if you're young, very early graduate, maybe you graduated 1 or 2 years ago, you could take this route. What's the advantage of taking this route? The advantage is the expectations from you are a bit lower. People understand that you're just graduating from university. People understand that all you know now is probably what you were taught in school, and so people give you more grace to learn. People are more willing to teach you the fundamentals of the industry and basically what you need to succeed. I also think this is good because very early in your career, like imagine you're already solving problems for multinationals. You're literally being in the room with high caliber individuals, right? So you're very exposed very early on in your career. Now, this is the path I took and it served me so far. So like I mentioned, there's no one path to get into consulting. So you could use the early career path, which I mentioned earlier. If you'd like to know the specific tips for your application, I made a video on how to get into management consulting. I'll put it on the screen. You can definitely watch that to learn everything about the application process and how to ace your interviews. Now, the second path I have seen popular is people that join mid-career, and think of it as maybe you've had some years of experience in a different industry. Maybe you've gone for your master's, you've worked for a while, and you want to break into consulting. Now, what I see people do here is, especially if they've come from a different career paths, maybe engineering, tech, or fields that are not necessarily business related, most of them go for their MBAs, which is like a master's program typical consultants, investment bankers go for, and then come into consulting. With this, you probably join either as a consultant like I am today, or you join as an early manager, so a project leader, and here you have more responsibilities. People expect more from you because number one, you're more matured in your career, so you're more tenured, but then you also have experiences you could build on to solve problems for your clients or just deliver better output to your client. So if you know that maybe you started off your career in a different industry, or you started off your career in a different field, or you don't necessarily have a business, economics, or finance background, maybe you should think of getting an MBA, then apply to come into consulting. Now, the final part we'll be looking at today is what I call senior or tenured career, and this is when you've literally spent your years. Think of it, people with 20 years of experience in a different field. I know someone that joined one MBB firm, and he had spent over like 20 years in oil and gas, and he still had a room in consulting. Why? Because there is no one way to get into consulting. Now here, if you're coming in with a tenured career, so you have like 15 to 20 years experience in a different field, there are 2 ways in which you can come into consulting. You can come in using the expert track, and that's where you come in to bring specifics, expertise in a field. It could be tech, it could be agriculture, it could be oil and gas, it could be think of it, if you've built your career in a specific field and you've grown over the ranks, maybe in an oil and gas firm, in a tech firm, and you really know so much about that industry, you can still come into consulting, but you'll be an expert there. So all the clients you'll be working for, all the cases you'll be working on are specifically in that industry. Now, that's if you want to take the expert track. Another track you could think of is, if let's say you've done a couple of things, maybe you did finance for a while, and then you went into oil and gas, and then you went into tech, but there's some synergies across everything you've been doing, maybe strategy across these different industries. You could still come into consulting, but here you join the traditional track where typically being a consultant, but you could join as a partner, you could join as a principal, you could join, even as a managing director and partner, depending on the company you're going into, right? But here you want to make sure that number one, you have the relationships, to build the client base of the business, because that's one reason why they are hiring you. They're not really hiring you to come and create slides or do technical things. You're past that. You're coming in to, expand the client base of the company. You're coming in to help the company build more relationships, maybe expand into new markets, or, break into a sector or an industry they've been trying to do all the while. So that's it. The three major ways I have seen individuals come into consulting. It's fine if you set up your career in a different field. There's room for you. But one advice I would give is you need to make sure that you have the necessary skills, experience, qualifications required to break into consulting. It's a very demanding industry. It's one that offers premium strategy advice to clients, and so you want to make sure that you're also positioned as a premium individual. Yes, so I hope that makes sense. 3 ways or 3 parts I have seen individuals come into consulting, break into consulting. If you have any questions, definitely leave it in the comment section and I'll be sure to answer. See you in the next video. Bye.